Now let's talk about how I typically run the sound system back here. So this is the main mixer board. It's an X32. There are plenty of really good tutorials in YouTube videos on how to operate this soundboard and how to run it, how to set it up, and that's going to be way beyond the scope of what I'm going to do in this video. I'm just going to explain how I run it, not necessarily how I set it up. There should be a good set of drawings I keep down here of what the inputs are, and it's on Google Sheets folder. So if you need me, email me and I can give you the schematics for how this thing's wired together. So fundamentally, you got 32 channels on this board. The first 16 on the first switch here. If you want to see the second switch, that's the second switch. So really, in our system, one thing on 17, 18, 19, and 20 are the microphones for the microphones that are behind the keyboard, not the Shure mics, but the other cheaper mics. And here's your auxiliary inputs on this channel here, and the Busmaster reaches sitting over there. So you cycle through these here to choose the channel you want to, and of course the little scribble pads are all labeled. The microphones are roughly color coded. The PC is not wired in, that was from the old system. I do not like having sound from the computer because computers tend to make noises when you don't want them to make noises. It's usually a bad idea to be in a boat to play sound on here. You got two, I guess of note here. This fader here is the sound stage. That's on the stage. We'll talk about it later, but that's the CD player that's sitting there behind the piano. This is the CD player on the left side. The channel A on the how do you say that, Numark sound system. So this is this CD player, which corresponds to this CD player, and this USB port. So CD player, USB port, this side here, this control over here, and I'll be a separate video on that. That goes to this fader. This goes to this fader, my apologies. This fader here, that's the front of the room, by the piano. This is back here, and these are color coded on the mics. So red mic, yellow mic. Mic Craig usually uses, and this is the mic that Brother Dale almost always uses, the blue mic. Over here on the output side, which is this side of the board here, is the output side of it. You of course have the mains to the front of the house, the big Yamaha speakers, the CD recorder, which I really haven't used in a long time, the in-ear monitor, which I believe Barry Kenneth may be the only one who uses that anymore. You got the one-stage monitor on this channel. Same thing. You got two different buses, 1 to 8, and then you go on to them 6 through 16. And of interest on the 6 through 16, 13 through 16 are the effects volume levels or mix levels, which is for the echo. So if you want some extra echo, you crank this up. You go much above 10, it sounds funny. The main slider doesn't do anything except gives you an indication up here about what your levels are total mix. I half the time don't use it. That's 90% of how the faders are set up. Of course, if you want to do the configurations for each channel, you do the select. So if you want to do Brother Dale's equalizer settings, you select his, and then you can do the equalizer setting up here. So select button on his channel, do the view, and then you'll see the equalizer screen for that one particular channel. So each channel, of course, can have its own equalizer settings, its own compressor settings, which is a dynamic screen, and of course a gate. So you got the compressor settings, gate, and they're all set different on a per channel basis. Hopefully you don't have to mess with those much. Now, how I tend to operate the system is to operate it by scenes. So you're able to save the state of the board for different scenes. So when we look at the view button here on the scenes, view scenes, and this will bring up the scenes I have saved. So I have saved a different soundboard settings for almost all the singers I have, Pastor Dale, the praise team, and like I said, the different singers and you can add to these, and I keep them backed up on the computer because you got some settings here where you can save it to the USB, and then from the USB you can save it over, etc., etc. So I typically run the soundboard by manipulating these scenes. So the general normal scene, which is selected right now, is good for a good panic mode. So it's good for just about everything. It's not great for anything, but it's a good general purpose. And I tend to switch back and forth between the praise team and Pastor Dale settings. So Pastor Dale settings, I do some things like that's a vocal enhancer I run through there, and I change the equalization settings and a few things like that to make them more intelligible is I guess the word to use on it. But typically normal, switching between normal. So you can scroll down and hit next. I also have them set up on these buttons, and I don't think you can read the buttons good, but you can see the screen here. You see beside the 5 it says Allison, the 6 says Pastor Dale, 8 praise team. They correspond to these buttons here. So put them, that's the praise team button, Pastor Dale. So pretty much you can run the whole signboard by just alternating between Pastor Dale, praise team, normal, and if like let's say Amanda's singing, you hit Amanda. Brother Craig's singing, you hit Brother Craig, and that's assuming they use the mics that they normally use. And most of those guys are pretty good about using the same mic over and over again. But pretty much the whole system can be run by just manipulating these buttons, and as you see, as you move these buttons around, it stores the equalization settings, the fader settings, and all that. It's really nice. Some kid gets back here and messes everything up. Go hit normal, it goes right back the way it was. No harm, no foul. Very handy. Good thing to do when you first come in mornings. Hit normal, clear the board, make sure it's on the setting. The other way I've liked to lately is if the computer's booted, and if you need to log in on the computer, the PIN number is written on top of the computer. I'm not going to say that on the YouTube video, but if it's on the video, computer boots up. I also have a Stream Deck. Same thing. So if I want to run the praise team settings, you press this button. Pastor Dale, you press this button, and of course they're labeled clear, easy to go, easy to run. If you want to go to the Open LP, which is the projector settings, you can press that button and it will switch over to it. Right now the computer's booting up, so it's not completely loaded the Stream Deck settings. So that is that for the most part. There we go. So like that's the Open LP settings. So if you want to go next item, previous slides. Let's say you don't have to fiddle for keyboard much, but if I want to put in Allison settings, you press this button, praise team. So I'll alternate between praise team and Pastor Dale on the Stream Deck, and you just run the whole board by here. It is something to consider in the future that if we want to put one of these at the pulpit, you could run the whole signboard from one of these little easy to use devices. So it's an idea, but most of the time I'm back here, and these buttons will get you gosh darn close if Allison's singing a song. And of course, if it ain't quite right, you can fine tune it. But they get you really close in the ball field. I got the mixer settings and stuff like that. So I mean, one little trick I do for the praise team, when the praise team's talking to Miss Shirley speaking, I leave it like it sets up there, and once they start singing, I'll hit the echo on button, and that will very slowly raise the echo levels. And of course, when the song's over with, I'll hit stop, and it kills the echo. So it's a quick way to, by pressing that one button that says echo on, I can slowly give some reverb, and hopefully nobody, if it's done right, hopefully nobody notices I've been giving a fair amount of reverb to the singing. Helps everything blur together. Hopefully if it's done right, nobody even notices I'm doing it, but I think it sounds better. But for the most part, I'm running it through the Stream Deck. If for some reason the Stream Deck doesn't connect, I then run it off of the buttons on the actual mixer itself. And if you need to do setup, you can go to the scenes button here, and then you can manipulate which the file settings and saves like that one there. And I do keep them stored on the USB stick, so you can let them, if somebody messes them up, you can load them back from backup. Hope that helps.